When you're coating drywall joints, recess joints and butt joints, there's two ways to coat them, by hand or with a tool. I'm going to demonstrate both of those today and show you the advantages of the tool and the advantages of doing it by hand. We're going to do that right after this. Hey everybody, thanks for stopping by my channel here at that Kilted Guide DIY home improvement videos. And before I get too far along in the video, I want to point out that we've got some really good information in our description down below. Like if you need any of these tools, including this tool right here, we've got a link for that in our description, as well as a link to our Amazon store where you can pick up all the finishing tools, hanging tools, and all that you need. And I give you recommendations on what I would buy so that you don't waste so much money. We also have a link to our website where we got some good information there. Like I give away free guides that'll help you pick out contractors and avoid mistakes on your drywall finishing job, like these examples here. So check out that description, and then when we get to the end of the video, if you like what you saw here, I would appreciate a thumbs up, and be sure and subscribe. There's a little animation here showing how to subscribe, because I know that actually confuses some of you. But be sure and subscribe, and I'd really appreciate your comments. I like hearing from you guys what you thought. Any questions you got, I'm glad to answer. Today what we're going to talk about is the advantages of using tools to coat drywall versus coating by hand. Sometimes it's kind of like the Ford and Chevy debate. There's a lot of argument on both sides. I've done both. For the first 10 years of my career, 10-15 years, I did new construction, and we did it all. We did all the hanging, finishing, texturing. So I got a pretty equal experience in all of that, and pretty much the whole time we use tools like this. I'll show you a picture of a complete set of tools that we have available through our store on Amazon, and we actually ran all of those. The entire set of tools consist of everything from this mud box, several sizes of this. There was nail spotting boxes, bazookas, angle finishing tools, and so on. And to me, those tools greatly increase your speed. Now these days I do mostly remodel type stuff, like we're removing popcorn ceiling on this job, so we've scraped it. The joints kind of need another coat of mud, which they often do. So I'm going to coat them again. So I bought, a while back, I bought just this one mud box and a pump, and that's all the tools I have these days. But this one tool on a job like this will save me a ton of time. And yeah, I can coat all of this. This is consists of 3 bedrooms. One of them used to be 2 bedrooms, they combined, so it's kind of like 4 bedrooms, and I can coat them all by hand in less than an hour. Depends on what all I'm doing. If I'm splitting butt joints, and that's going to take a little longer. But with this tool, I can walk through here and do every joint in here in about 10 minutes, maybe less. It's really fast, and I'm going to demonstrate that. Okay, so first of all, what I'm going to do is I'm going to coat this joint above me, and I'll reposition the camera a little bit here with this tool. So let me tell you just a little bit about this tool. The drawback is they're not cheap. I think this and the handle runs like $250, and then you got to have a pump, which is something like $200. So this is more if you're doing a lot of this kind of work. If you're not, finishing by hand is the way to go for sure. Just a quick rundown of how this tool works. Basically, it's got a box that holds the mud. You put the mud in through this slot, holds the mud inside here, and then this acts like a plunger. And then when you're done for the day, you flip these levers, pop that whole thing out the back, wash it up. It's pretty easy. It's got an adjustment right here, and if you see when I turn this, what it does is it applies pressure to this area, which applies pressure to this, and if you can see, that's a bendable blade along there. It flexes so that you can put more of a crown in or less by how you adjust this. And then it's got these little shoes right here to keep the mud from running out the edges and give you a clean finish. this pivoting wheel down here, and then it has a brake on it because, as you can see, this just pivots at will, but you've got a brake right here, so when you squeeze this, it stops. It clamps it down right here, and that allows you to do things like pull off at the end. Plus, you don't want to go up to the ceiling like this. It would be out of position, so you just kind of give it a little flip out and you're ready to lock it onto the ceiling. It's also got this little ball here that you can adjust. You can move it up and down, it gives you a better grip sometime. I don't always use it, but so today we're coating an 8-foot ceiling, so I'll put that ball up there somewhere, and that puts it right about where I want. So what I'll do is go ahead and fill this thing up. I'll show you how that works, and I'll show you how quickly we can coat with this. Then we'll turn around and do the other half of this ceiling, which is, I determined, about 17 feet long. We'll do the other half by hand and just compare. What we have is this pump right here that's made just for pumping drywall. This area here, you can change and put different fittings on it. In this case, it's open for like a angle mud box. You can put a different fitting on here that's called a gooseneck. That gooseneck is for when you're taping with a bazooka. Bazooka is one of my favorite tools. I used to run that all the time. And with that one tool, just pretty much as fast as I could walk, I could put the tape on and I could keep 2 or 3 guys busy trying to wipe it down behind me. And you can tape a whole lot in a day with that thing. But for today, we're using this little attachment right here. And it just slides in here. And then we just simply pump this full of mud. First time takes a little bit longer, but that's all there is to that. It's full, primed, and ready to go. So now what I'm going to do is I will change, get this out of the way, reposition the camera a little bit, and I'll show you how that coats. Okay, that's it. You don't have to go over it multiple times. There is a tiny scratch right there. I can fix that easily on the next coat or on the touch-up. Or I could grab a knife and just lightly go over that and make that go away. But I'm going to put the time, I'm going to time this when I edit it, and I'll put the time up here. I would guess that took me, what, 4 or 5 seconds at the most from start to finish. And the edges are feathered out. It's really smooth. This thing is amazingly fast. If you're going to do this for a living, you need these tools. They will make you money. So now what I'm going to do is switch over to a different angle, put my stilts on, and get up here and coat this second half by hand. Okay, for all these demonstrations here, I'm using +3. Now for the mud box, we have to thin it down just a little bit more. It makes it easier to push out of the box. For finishing by hand, it's a little thicker, but you can see it's still not real thin. This is actually how this came out of the box. Sometimes it comes out thinner than others. Today it was a little bit thinner, so I didn't thin it down at all. Now what I'll do is I'll coat this. I'll probably do most of it coming from that direction so that I stay without my back to the camera and you can see what's going on. Then I'll turn around and do that last little bit and we'll time it, put that time up on the screen. Okay, there, it's done. Not slow. I'm not slow at this. I've done this a long time. But you can see, based on the time here, that was a lot slower than that. So if you're doing a lot, that's going to save you a ton of time. If you're just doing a little bit or smaller jobs, might not be such a big deal. Now let's talk about some other advantages versus disadvantages. Okay, the other advantage to finishing by hand is you can kind of control the depth that you're putting it on a little bit better. You don't have to turn that wheel. You could say right here in the middle suddenly put it on thicker, whereas that one you really can't. And then if you're doing things like butt joints, you actually can coat butt joints with a mud box, and most new construction crews do that. These days I mostly do butt joints by hand because I feel like I have a little better control and I get a better product out of it quicker. But if I were doing new construction again, I'd probably go back to doing that just because of the volume of butt joints on a job. So the other advantage, of course, to this is on a butt joint you can put it on as heavy as you want. With those you can't, and with a mud box you end up putting on usually 3 stripes. So you'll do like 1 down the middle and 2 down each side, but you're leaving a void. So then you got to come back and fill in between those 2 passes. Putting it on by hand, you can coat it completely solid so you get it closer the first time. But of course the biggest advantage of all is cost. Right now this is probably a full set of finishing tools, mud knives and all that, which you got to have anyway if you're using a mud box, but it costs you like 60 bucks or so. So with that you still got to buy the extra tools, which are like $400 or $500 even if you buy them used. So hey, what'd you think? How many of you guys out there have run these tools or have thought about it? Tell me what you guys think. I'm sure some of you have opinions that hand finishing is just better, and I understand that. Everybody's entitled to their opinion. I think they both do a great job. It's a matter of speed to me. For day-to-day use, I go with the hand finishing all day long. Matter of fact, the last time I ran that tool was probably 6 months ago. And as you can see, it's not very hard to run, but let me tell you, I made it look a lot easier than it is. I've trained a lot of guys doing this, and the first time they run a tool like that, they usually strain their ass off. And I'm talking some fairly fit guys, because there's a technique to it. And once you get that down, to me it's easy. I can do this all day and not fight it, but I've done it for 30 some years. I'll tell you a real quick story about how I got into running the tools. And while I'm standing here talking, I think I'm going to put up some other videos that we have so you can see some of the other videos that we put out. I worked for my dad for years, and when I was young he just had me spotting nails, mixing mud, packing things in and out, coating corner bead, the simple stuff. And then one day he got hit by a vehicle going about 10 or 15 miles an hour. It hurt him pretty good, laid him up in the hospital. I decided to just go to the job we were on and pick up the tools and learn them. I started with this mud box, and it didn't take me very long. I'd watched him enough, I had enough experience with running the hand tools that by the end of the day I had the thing coated. Another guy came by that my dad asked to come by and check on me, and he was pretty impressed. So it's not rocket science, but it does help to have a little bit of drywall finishing experience. So that's kind of how I got into it. So hey, I'd appreciate you guys leaving me a comment down below before you go. Those help me actually, and I like to interact with you guys. Let me hear what you think about it, and if you got any questions. And don't forget to check out that link down there in the description. That'll show you where you can pick these tools up. You can go see the prices and so on, plus all the other supplies we have there. And hey, if that helped you, give us a thumbs up, and we will see you on the next video. Hey everybody, it's Guy, and this is my wife.
Hi, I'm Carla.
And before you go, check out the link we got here on this page. We're going to put some links to things like our website, where you can get all kinds of bonus information, our free guide you can download, and more. And thanks for stopping by.
Bye.
See ya.